legacies left is the Temazcal and cacao ceremony. Temazcal is a Mayan word meaning medicinal house. It's a powerful healing ritual that has been used by indigenous peoples all throughout the Americas.
In 2018, I sat in a 100-degree Mayan sweat lodge for 90 minutes. The shaman was singing. The darkness was total. I was supposed to release everything, but part of my brain was still running the shot list. This was good content. How do I capture this? Is my photographer getting all of this? He better. I'm paying him for this just in case I need to film some stuff too. Whew, that was stressful. Hi friends, we're rewatching my very first travel show, a show I self-produced from start to finish 10 years ago, got a distribution deal to put it on Amazon Prime Video, but never put it here on YouTube. So that's what we're doing now. Welcome to The Rewatch. We're in Quintana Roo, one of the most famous states in Mexico, the Caribbean coast, Tulum, Cancun, Playa del Carmen, my former home. I love this place. Now, according to the state's tourism board, 70% of the visitors who come here never leave the resort. Such a shame. So on this trip, our job was the other 30%, to expose people to what it is like off the resort and why a trip is worth it and what makes it special. So this press trip was organized by Quintana Roo Tourism and their PR company, multiple partners that included hotels, restaurants, on the ground experiences. And this is important to note because this was a well-coordinated itinerary and it required different partners and vendors. And the goal was to take us deep into Mayan culture that runs through this region. Their goal was to expose us to the most authentic experiences. This is my jam. This is the time in my career I'm like, everybody is understanding the mission. Everybody's understanding my assignment and I'm getting placed on these assignments. Let's go. So I started this creator journey in 2015. So by this time in 2018, the boards, the agencies, they knew what my beat was. They knew what my interests were. And this hit the target: adventure experiences, local cultures. And that's still true today. Again, cha-ching, I had a dedicated photographer on the ground with me. This is a real travel show. So the filmmaker this time, his name was Jack Holt. I think he came out of Atlanta, so that made the travel experience easier. We're making a show, baby. No more one-man band, at least for a good amount of time. When tourism boards were pitching me, they knew I had this product, they knew the distribution, and although they weren't paying me as a creator, I don't think people were necessarily doing that yet unless you had like big productions, but they would pay for an extra person to travel so that we can make this video. Now, this is great. I'm getting comfortable. Remember, I come from traditional broadcast TV, so I'm used to working with a photographer. And now I can just lean into only just like producing and being more present as a presenter. That's in theory, because what I discovered in that 100-degree Mayan sweat lodge is that producer brain just didn't trust the process that I had a photographer to capture everything. It was working overtime and was pulling me out of the present. Actually, let's start watching the Quintana Roo episode of Beyond the Usual. This is season 2, episode 2.
Quintana Roo, one of the most famous states in Mexico. Located on the Yucatan Peninsula, its Caribbean coast is home to Tulum and its incomparable Mayan monuments, Cancun, Playa del Carmen, and Maya Riviera, popular spring break destinations known for their nightlife and long sandy beaches. But according to Quintana Roo Tourism, 70% of the visitors here never leave their resort. So on this trip, let's cut the party short and explore deeper into the Mayan culture that runs through the veins of this region.
You know, I've always been fascinated with Mayan culture. They were a sophisticated and highly developed ancient society, and they were highly skilled in a lot of things that we appreciate today: art, mathematics, science, and of course, architecture.
All across the Yucatan, there are many ancient Mayan structures, so many still buried by the jungle. And the ones archaeologists have discovered are popular places to explore.
We call today pyramids. It's to get approach to the sky to have a communication with those entities on top, okay?
And these walls literally can talk. Ancient Mayans developed a writing system with hieroglyphs, a combination of whole word symbols and syllables. Through this, we've learned about the complexity of their kingdoms and the simplicity of their everyday way of life.
So this is known as the Temple of Chalk, also commonly known as the church. And the Mayans built this particular one to worship water.
In Coba, which means turbulent water, archaeologists have discovered around 500 structures across 27 miles. And according to my guide Johnny, that's only about 10%. The rest still buried by the jungle. Picture life in what was called the classical age of Mesoamerica, from 200 BC to around 900 after Christ. It's estimated that around 55,000 Mayans lived right here in this community. The Mayans believed in 3 worlds: Kan, Kab, and Xibalba, simply translated as heaven, earth, and the underworld. And part of the reason the temples were built so high was so that they can reach the sky to connect closer with the gods of Kan. Nohoch Mul, which means big hill, is 137 feet tall, 120 steps. Climbing to the top, you can really appreciate the intricate craftsmanship of the ancient builders. And for me, I basically crawled my way up.
No sweat. You just gotta go low and slow.
But once there, wow, breathtaking panoramic views of the surrounding jungle.
Wow, this is one today that still is one of my favorite stand-ups on that pyramid ruin. This was the realization of everything that I that I visualized. Like, I knew we were going to do this thing. I had planned this stand-up. Let's do it in action. You know, I'd seen other people do this kind of stuff, and now I was able to do it. So we climbed the pyramid. I told the photographer that's what we would do. And then in action, I'm crawling up and I have something to say, and I say it to the camera. I still love it to this day. It is important to note that Nohoch Mul has been closed to climbing since 2021. So basically my footage is a time capsule because nobody else is able to have that experience of climbing to the top. I will tell you that was one of the, I've climbed several, probably like 7 or more, some that are official sites and some that were just kind of, they have so many pyramids deep in the jungle that you find it and you just kind of explore in the Yucatan. And I do recall that this one was probably the most scary for me because it is just so uneven. The steps aren't just like perfectly made steps. They're ancient steps, and Mayans are small. I'm 6 foot. My foot is a size 10, size 41. Yeah, that was a challenge.
Mayans have a tradition of respecting Earth, honoring it, trying to reach balance by giving and receiving. So on my journey, I noticed that with almost everything, you ask for a blessing.
Thank you. So we just actually received a traditional Mayan blessing to be received and to be allowed to go into the underworld.
The Mayan underworld, Xibalba, isn't comparable to the Christian hell. You don't go there as punishment or a place of torture for leading a bad life. Rather, Xibalba translates as a place of fright because of the ominous water and the tales of the evil gods that live below. Mayans believe that cenotes were the gateway to the underworld. Cenotes are deep, water-filled sinkholes of limestone found all around the Yucatan. So oftentimes you'll find altars at the entrances, where offerings are set as visitors request access and blessings from the gods of the underworld. Your guide will request you to enter with respect or a blessing, as we did. But once inside, it's perfectly fine to have fun and enjoy the water of the cenote. Okay, so the other thing, there is a plethora of cenotes, and understanding
how cenotes are sacred to the Mayan world. Some of them, when you travel there, have the altars. If you pay attention, you can see it. Some are very, very commercialized that are actual theme parks. And then there are some that people find in their backyards. So the reason for my cultural storytelling through the lens of travel and then also including history is just to inspire us to understand what is there, to understand what the history is. And then when we go there, we have more awareness. So if we go to an amusement park situation, we can still understand that historically this might be sacred, and we might have a little more understanding, a little more reverence. So I thought it was pretty special to be taken into these local community projects to be able to have this sort of experience and to be authentically blessed and being able to lock in, take it in, and appreciate somebody's culture. They were sharing their culture with us. Let's continue watching.
Today, outside major cities, modern Mayans live in small communities where they keep up with traditions handed down by their ancestors, while assimilating to some of the conveniences of modern-day living.
What was their reaction when they had their first bird?
They like it.
They did? Oh.
Yeah. I remember the first cup of tea was very funny because they was like stirring and then taking out it. They were mimicking me everything.
With their family.
We'll go to grade 12. They will have their 16 party and they will say, yeah, I'm an adult now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get married. Yeah, so now you can see that they are not getting married. Not so soon, because 15 is very young for them to go.
Your skin is very beautiful. What is your number one beauty secret? Caribe?
¿Con qué se lavan su cara o qué hacen para cuidarse?
Nada, porque nosotros aquí temprano nos dormimos.
They sleep early.
Temprano.
They have beauty sleep. They don't stay up
Porque
late.
no usamos crema, nada.
No crema.
Nada, no crema.
Solo
jabón y agua.
Just soap and water.
Soap and water.
And a lot of rest. No stress in life.
I loved this particular moment of just hanging out with the modern Mayan women because there's this narrative across all the Americas that the indigenous people are no longer there. And the Mayans are still there. They have not been erased. They still are there. They are the direct descendants of the ancient Mayans, and they still practice not only their culture, they're Mexican, but they're also Mayan. So they have some modern things that they participate, but they also have some of their ancient ways that have been passed down orally through arts and crafts, through other traditions, through their family. So I always think it's just a special moment to be able to sit with indigenous people and let them express what they want to share when the camera is on. I always love just handing the mic to them, asking them questions, and then just having a cultural sharing experience. And that is my jam. So you could see season 2 is already helping me lean into a dream and realizing that this vision I had, or even before I knew that's where I wanted to be, landing there and saying, yes, this is the work I want to do. Let's continue watching.
As my journey continues, it's clear that Mayan traditions are everywhere in the fabric of this region in Mexico. One of the legacies left is the Temazcal and cacao ceremony. Temazcal is a Mayan word meaning medicinal house. It's a powerful healing ritual that has been used by indigenous peoples all throughout the Americas. It's a sweat lodge that can reach more than 100 degrees Fahrenheit and can last for up to 5 hours. My session was about 90 minutes. And while the heat draws out your toxins, the spirit gets renewed through the ritual. It's recommended to do temazcals if you need help, healing, a problem solved, but also to connect with Earth. You go deep too. thinking about your parents, your loves, your ancestors. I took the opportunity to center myself, to really hone in on my dreams. You're in the dark. The temperatures rise. The shamans sing. Focus and then release. And when it's done, you come out feeling renewed, inspired, and connected. Night falls and we move to a new room for the cacao ceremony. The spirit of cacao is one of the most powerful goddesses in the Mayan universe. It was called Cuckoo, which means sacred above the sacred. The Maya started to grow cacao more than 2,000 years ago, and this ceremony also promotes healing. The shaman takes us through a journey, sharing tales from Mayan culture while singing traditional songs.
Okay, this is the emotional center of the piece, the Temazcal ceremony. Now, I want to tell you that the Temazcals in this part of, I don't even know if it's all through Mexico, and you guys, if you've been to other resorts around Mexico, if you've seen them, but a lot of times they're on the property and they're kind of disguised as spa experiences. Well, we went to one of the local ones where they do practices and visitors are welcome to come, but visitors across Mexico tend to come and they use it for real reasons. I was told they use it for births or marriages, like a cleansing between the new couple as they are about to be married, or family, or if you're mourning. There's so many life reasons that people would use a Temazcal and cacao ceremony. And so what we were able to experience was an authentic one hosted by real people who live there, who this is their culture, and they were granting us access to experience part of their culture. So that, again, is always an honor, but also just a special thing that this was actually coordinated through official channels. This wasn't something that we coordinated, that I researched on my own. That's been the benefit of working in this industry and being able to tell stories, because if I did this, if I worked another beat independently, let's say if I worked in politics, nobody's going to usher me in or fly me into DC to and do some sort of investigation or a story. I'm trying to think of another industry. I mean, I guess every consumer product brand will do that with journalists, but any other beat, health. Nobody's doing that for health beat stories, is like hosting you on a trip so that you can have this experience and then letting you just tell an editorial takeaway from it. And so I've just been very special that in my particular beat, I've been able to fund the storytelling, mostly, not the labor and not the production, but the travel, which is a significant cost, in such a beautiful way. Let's continue watching.
Xcaret is an eco park focused on Mexican culture.
Chile. Okay. Pimiento. Un cacao.
And they are host to the Travesia Sagrada Maya, the sacred Mayan journey from Riviera Maya to Cozumel. The annual event is a ceremony where the messengers to the moon will carry an offering to the Mayan goddess of fertility. More than 300 people train for this event.
So they practice this for 6 months.
And their families and friends come out before the sun rises to see the event that they've been working so hard for. The ceremony includes the blessings for a journey that is filled with joy, but will test their inner force, character, and teamwork skills. The messengers arrive.
Oh, yes. So that experience at Xcaret, I will tell you, Xcaret, for many years was named as the world's best theme park. Yes, over Disneyland. But if you've ever experienced it, then you understand it's more than just a theme park. It's not just like Disneyland characters. It is real cultural experiences mixed in with kind of theme park fun activities, right? So when they talk about like having a Mayan ceremony or the Travesia Sagrada Maya, this was a real thing that happened to be on this park. These people really trained for this, and they were really doing this reenactment in honor of their own culture and their own ancestors. And it just happened to be at the theme park where it was hosted, right? Because the theme park, I think, had the coast where they would canoe. So all of it was real, but wrapped in an environment that you can go get, you know, an ice cream or a slushie if you wanted to. I've also been to another Xcaret experience where they had it was like a food festival, and they had food festival from around a particular region, and they got indigenous people in small towns and small villages to come out and representatives. And I just remember meeting and people telling me where they were from some places, and exposing me to some of their foods and places I had never heard deep inside of Mexico. And that is what Xcaret provides. So if you are ever in Mexico, I think they have this is how many parks they have. I'm going to put that number up there too. But they have so many theme parks. Each one offers different. Just when you think, I remember talking to one of the organizers before, a couple years ago, and they had me come out to one of their newest parks, which is another cenote park. And I was like, but you already have a park called cenotes. And they were like, but this one's different. So they keep coming up with ideas. And the best thing is it is Mexican owned and operated. So there's not tourism leakage. This is something made in Mexico by the Mexicans, and for visitors. And so people all across South and Central America, and of course, North America, go and visit these theme parks if you know about it. And I'm telling you about it now.
And then the launch. Full of emotions as the canoers take their journey across the water. An expected 5-hour trip that is by no means an easy task. And the onlookers know that too. So we cheer, some pray, and some even cry. Because though this, as in many of the Mayan traditions, is just a recreation of history and culture, it is through rituals, dances, and ceremonies that keeps the legacy alive.
Okay, well, that is the Quintana Roo, Yucatan episode. And is this experience actually authentic, or is it still a tourism project? So this is something that I always have to weigh because, like I said, most of my experiences are ushered in by the official tourism boards, but they also know my beat. So I do think that they go out of the way. People are being more conscious, people are being more responsible and more ethical. All of that language is within my press kit when people are introduced to me. So they try to present it, and they want to highlight that because they want people to come and visit for real reasons. So that's the question I pose to you. You be the judge. I'd love to hear your comments. So I'll leave you again with some guidelines that I've come up to frame anything that I'm presented with. Are the people inside the experience doing something genuine for themselves, or are they just performing it for you? The shamans in the Temazcal were singing their own songs. The canoeists were crossing the water that their ancestors had for 2,000 years as a Mayan tradition, and that is an annual event that always happens, that was timed. The PR timed it so that we can experience that too, but that was going on regardless. And yes, the Temazcal is a real healing ritual practiced throughout Mexico, completely outside of tourism. The cenote blessing is a genuine request for access to a sacred space. So I didn't create these experiences. The PR and tourism boards aligned them for our trips. What does the experience cost the people who hold it? If you can see what the tradition actually costs them who maintain it, the labor, the years of training, the negotiation with modern practices, then it's a real place. If you see a version that's prepared for the camera, and you're at a tourist attraction. Okay, so these are the questions you should ask if you're interested in filming authentic experiences and knowing the difference between something that is prepared for your cameras, for your social media, or something that is really happening there. All right, we did it. Let's check to see what is still open. Okay, so we already talked about the Coba ruins. It's still open. It's still very much active, but you cannot climb the pyramid of Nohoch Mul. And again, that's been closed since 2021. In fact, the National Institute of Anthropology and History, they closed it to protect the structure from the volume of visitors and the wear and tear on the stone. Again, which means my footage is a historical document. It is an archive. All right, there are also cenotes throughout the Yucatan, still accessible, still beautiful, still something that you can see pretty frequently, pretty easy to get to. There's different ones. There's big experiences, there's small experiences, and like I said, sometimes people find them in their backyard. Xcaret Eco Park, I've already raved about that. And Temazcal ceremonies, still widely available throughout the region. But here's the thing. The industry around Temazcal has grown enormously since 2018. Many resort-based versions are shorter, less intense. They're more like spa experiences. And so if you want really what I experienced, something that's led by a community shaman and not a hotel amenity, you're gonna have to specifically look out for that. And some of the best resources are to look for, do a search on local community-led Temazcal and follow that lead. Okay, so again, I told you at the beginning, that is something that I'm working on. The producer brain is probably my greatest professional asset, but it also was the thing that cost me the most in moments where I needed to be present and really let go, like in the Temazcal. I couldn't shut down for 90 minutes of total darkness. I needed to turn on my own camera to make sure that I captured something that was already being captured by somebody that I brought on to do the capturing. Okay, so I need to learn to surrender more. Let's talk about next time. We're going to the Amazon rainforest, the world's biggest and most important rainforest, black caiman, piranhas, and the thing that nobody talks about when they talk about climate change, what it actually looks, smells, and sounds like when you're standing inside of it. I'll see you there.